Welcome back, guys. It is championship racing once again here at SARCO. We are at round number 5 of the Formula C Championship, proudly brought to us by Thrustmaster. We head to Donnington Park. It is a clear day. We have 2 races of 12 laps, with each race being determined by a 1-lap flyer. Sit back and enjoy the highlights of both race 1 and 2. So we take a look at the starting lineup for race number 1. In 11th place is Dylan for the Black Mambas, not getting a lap in. Dane for a Daycall, he's in 10th place, and he's alongside the Green Mamba Andrew in 9th position. In 8th place is Ross for a Project Cat Racing, and he is just behind Dupi. In 7th place, Dupi Racing for a TTR. We move forward to row number 3. In 6th place is Gerard for Tosco 2, and he finds himself in 6th behind Marius, who's in 5th for Silverback Racing. Moving up to row number 2, and Jacques continues his form within this car. He puts himself in 4th place for TTR, and he is behind Jakes for the Black Mambas in 3rd place. Then the front row is Bruno. He is in 2nd place for the Silverback Racing, and the pole sitter for the race number 1 is Charles for Tosco 1. So as we wait for the start of the second race, it's green lights and away we go. Both Bruno and Charles have got the same start coming off. Jakes has got a good moving to the inside. We saw Ross taking a very wide line coming into Red Gate. Well, there's Ross on the outside there. That's definitely not going to do his start any good. So Charles leads with Bruno 2nd, Jakes is 3rd. That's Marius in shot, followed by Dupi, then Gerard, Jacques, Andrew, Dylan, Dane, and then it is Ross right at the back. Charles leading the long train, the single file through McLean's. Then up to Copia, the highest point of this track. So far everybody is pretty clean through the track, but you can see how close this field currently is. Oh, Andrew's gone a little bit too deep, and that's allowed Dylan to get around him. Coming down the hill to turn number 11. Dylan taking a much wider line there, allowing Andrew that inside line. We'll just see whether Dylan will win the race heading up to the final corner. Yes, he has. He's managed to get himself ahead. Into turn 1, Charles leads here on lap 2 with Bruno in 2nd. Jakes is in 3rd place. The middle of this pack is extremely congested, with Gerard leading this charge with Dupi going past Jacques. Into turn 1, Dylan makes a move to the inside, and Jacques has to allow him to go through. A little oversteer there for Dylan, but Jacques has run himself a little bit wide, touched the grass, and that's now allowed Andrew. Jacques fighting to get that car back on track. That's a Dane that's now gone past him as well. Back through turn number 2, then now the right-hander into Craner curves. Very close between these 3 drivers at the moment. Looks like Jakes is just starting to lose a bit of that pace from the 2 guys up front, with Bruno being right up behind Charles. He's definitely getting some of the top speed advantage, being able to maximize his speed on the straighter sections of this track. 5th position, Gerard has a Dupi right up behind him, just behind Dupi. We'll see the Green Mamba and the Black Mamba driver come past. Currently Marius is in between these 2 packs. Marius currently is circulating in 4th place. Gerard starting to pull a bit of a lead away here from Dupi, but Dylan right up behind the back of that TTR driver. Dylan having a little look on the inside. Will Dylan know? He does not make that move stick. Then back down the hill for turn number 11. We jump on board with Dylan as he exits out of turn number 11. Running a parallel to the main straight. Coming through the last corner. Back across the start-finish line. Will Dylan be able to make a move on the inside in turn number 1? Dylan goes a little bit cautious, a little bit tightens up his line. A little bit of oversteer coming out of turn 1. You can just see in the background there his stable partner Andrew starting to just fall back a little bit on this pace. Dylan really batting to try and find a way past Duppy. Will he do it here? Coming through turn number... No, he doesn't. That was turn number 6. Back on the power up through McLean's turn 7. Well, there's boards flying in front. That is Marius, who's run himself a little bit wide. Oh, he's still off the track. Duppy too has gone off. That's allowed Dylan to move up. Dylan now finds himself in 4th place in this race. We can see in the background Marius rejoining the track. And in shot, that is Dane. He's starting to make some way here. Really starting to close up the gap that he had found himself between himself and Jacques. Dane having been promoted, he moves himself up ahead of Andrew. Andrew unfortunately running wide into turn number 11. A little bit wide for that last corner. Dane manages to just keep it on track as they cross the line. Race leader Scholl exits out of the old hairpin, and he still leads Bruno currently in 2nd place. We'll just bring up the current positions. Scholl leads with Bruno 2nd. Jakes is in 3rd place with Carrot in 4th. My apologies, I did think that Dylan had got that 4th place. But he is indeed in 5th with Duppy in 6th place, 0.6 behind Dylan. Jacques is in 7th place with Ross in 8th. He's starting to make his way through the field after his first turn off. Andrew is in 9th with Dane in 10th place, and Marius unfortunately down in 11th. Dylan closing the gap here on Gerard coming into the S's. Well, Dylan very aggressive there, but he manages to keep it together. Down into turn number 11. Will he be able to make a move here on Gerard? Well, Gerard oversteers on the exit. That is Duppy still right behind him. Into the final corner. Very close between these three now. So in the background, we saw that was Jacques and Andrew. So currently Gerard is leading this battle with Dylan just behind him. Then we have Duppy, who's back in 6th place. But Dylan are really struggling to find a way to get around Gerard into the old hairpin. We jump on board so we can see what it actually looks like from the driver's position. Dylan are very late on the brakes, too much curve. You can see Gerard just starting to pull away. Go through McLean's. Gerard taking a lot of that curve with him. That's definitely going to help his exit speed. See, Duppy is right behind there into the S's. Hard on the brakes, down to 2nd gear. Lots of curve taken by both the drivers. Dylan's got a great run. Will he be able to put himself on the inside in the braking zone? Yes, Dylan makes that move, but has he gone too deep? Has Gerard moved to the inside? Dylan has made that move stick. Into the last corner, they are now too wide. Dylan having a little bit of an oversteer coming out of the corner, but that did allow him to take a much wider, much faster position Now we've got Duppy having a look on the inside, but it's still too far away to make an overtake. Dylan is sideways, Gerard is sideways. Back down the hill through turn number 2. Gerard's going to try go around the outside. Gerard manages to take that place back from Dylan, back through the old hairpin. Up through turn 5 and across Starkey's Bridge. This is some really great racing between these guys. While all this action is going on, Duppy is keeping his pace, staying with this pack. Dylan sucks up behind him, coming down Starkey Straight. Will he have a look in the S's? Whoa, Dylan's got that very wrong. That's allowed Duppy to go past. Back to the leaders as they cross the line to begin lap number 7. We jump on board with Bruno as he takes us on a tour through turn number 1, red gate down to second gear. Through turn 2 we are still flat out down into Craner curves. Still flat out, gear down into 4th, turn in, take the curve, back on that accelerator. Up through turn number 5, then here on this little stretch called Starkey's Bridge, into turn 6, gear down into turn number 7, and McLean's back on the power, using just a little bit of their outside there. Turn 8, Copier, it is a blind apex. You really got to trust that you're going to hit that mark, but then it is a flat out through the exit. Across a Starkey Straight, which actually runs along the old drag strip. Hard on the brakes through the S's. Turn number 11, back down into first gear. Bruno trying to stay as close as he can, as close as he can to the race leader Scholl. Turn number 12, the last corner, very tricky as you're going on a downhill. The corner definitely does feel like it's getting away from you. Bruno not giving up as they cross line to begin a lap number 8. Our race leaders come down the hill once again, and we bring up the current positions. Scholl leads with Bruno right behind him. Jake's having a very quiet race in 3rd place there, followed by Gerard, who has a Duppy less than a second behind him. Dylan, he's in 6th place, having lost some of that pace after that little spin and taking one of the cones with him. Jacques is in 7th with Andrew in 8th, Ross down in 9th place with Dane in 10th, and Marius down in 11th position. We'll keep it here as they go into the S's, turns 9 and 10. Scholl taking a little bit of dirt with him. You can see Bruno, he had gone a little bit too hot into turn number 10, so had to just come off the power a little bit there. Very tidy through turn number 11. But Bruno is just not finding a way to get around Scholl. Much late on the braking is Bruno, and a lot tighter was his line. So he had to close up a little bit more of that gap, and now we're into a lap number 9. The SARCO 2 driver and the TTR driver. Well, there's Dylan starting to close this gap between these two. Gerard is leading this challenge. Down the hill through Craner curves now into the old hairpin. Just going to bring up the lap times, and we can see that Dylan is going quickest out of these 3 drivers at the moment. Gerard had closed a 0.5 up on Duppy, and Dylan measly a 0.1. So he's not going that much quicker. He would need to be going a lot faster to actually close this gap to start making any impact on these two. Hard on the braking here into the S's. Cadot taking a little bit of the first apex, or Dylan sliding on the outside there. That would have cost him some valuable time. A little luck up there by Cadot into turn number 11. Duppy has gone wide, but sucks up right behind Cadot once again. Great exit there for Duppy. That's going to put him in a great position as they prepare for a red gate. Turn number 1, will he have a look on the inside? No, he's still too far away by more than a car's length. Current lap times, Cadot, he unfortunately is still going slower than Duppy. You can see Dylan just losing some of that pace, so he unfortunately will be out of this battle. Another battle that has just started to creep up its head is Ross. He's now starting to get himself onto the back of Andrew. Just ahead there was the second of the TTR drivers. Ross taking a very nice tight line, coming back up the hill through McLean's. Through that blind apex and Coppice, Andrews a very tight. Hard on the brakes into the S's. Lots of apex there. A little oversteer there by Ross. That's going to alleviate some of that pressure that he was trying to add on the rear of Andrew. Well, Andrew goes a little bit wide. That's allowed Ross a great exit. Will he have a little dive here around the outside into turn number 12? Andrews is safely through. So it seemed that that line did compromise some of Ross's speed, and Andrews managed to hang on to that position. Ross going very wide into turn 1. It is quite dangerous. He did land up going off into turn number 1, doing the exact same thing on the very first lap of this race. So just jumping to the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th, and we'll see Cadot has just edged a little gap away from Duppy. Duppy unfortunately going a little bit too hot into the S's, and that just allowed Cadot to just open that gap slightly. So he won't have Duppy right behind him, challenging him on this very final lap of race number 1. Scholl very closely followed by Bruno. Both these drivers are lapping Dane as they come through turn number 11. Into the final corner, and the final time for this specific race. Scholl will cross the line to come home in first place, with Bruno in second. Jakes will finish in third, with Cadot in fourth. Duppy finishes fifth, with Dylan in sixth. Jacques comes home in seventh, with Andrew in eighth, fending off Ross in ninth place. Marius will come home in 10th place, with Dane down in 11th position. We now move over to race number 2. Sit back and enjoy these highlights. The race number 2 qualifying standings are as follows. Dylan is in 11th place with Dane in 10th. Bruno has a little off during the qualifying and puts himself in 9th behind Andrew in 8th place. Duppy, he's in a 7th place behind Cadot. Really looking forward to the battle that these guys will have in race number 2. Ross currently in a 5th place, just behind Jakes, who's in 4th. We move to a 3rd position, and Jacques for TTR. He's behind Scholl, who's in a 2nd, with Marius taking a pole position. As we wait for the green lights, it is green lights and away we go. Scholl had a little bit of a bog there on the start. That's allowed Jakes pass. It looks like Duppy's going to make his way Ross, he too is moving as well. Morris is away clean into a turn and number 1. Well, Carrot's run himself a little bit wide coming into a turn and number 1 and will rejoin the track without incident, back in 11th place. Down the hill into a single file. Bruno starting to move up the field. He's going around Ross on the outside, coming up through turn and number 5. Great move there by Bruno. The race leader Morris into Coppers goes and leads the field as they start dropping into a single file down a Starkey straight. The positions are, that is a Morris, a Jakes, Scholl, Duppy, Bruno, Ross. Oh, Morris, it's gone a little bit too hot into the S's, turn at number 10, and that's allowed the Jakes to go through. Then we see the two silverback drivers alongside each other. Morris unfortunately making that mistake. All side by side through a turn number 12. The Jakes will cross the line. Morris, it looks like he'd actually jumped the start. He's taking a drive-through penalty. We'll jump to the race leader Jakes and bring up the current positions. So Jakes, he leads with a Scholl in second, Bruno third. Jacques, he's actually in 4th place. Sorry, correction, I thought it was Duppy. Ross is 5th. Duppy is in 6th place with Dylan 7th. Andrew in 8th with Gerard in 9th place. Dane is in 10th. And Morris, having to take a drive-through penalty, finds himself in 11th place here on lap number 2. There was a little bit of lag there, but I'm not too sure if that was actually Jakes cutting the corner there in McLean's. Just having a look at the gap between Scholl and Jakes, and yes, it does look like he had turned in there a little bit too soon. On the board with Jacques through the S's, turns 9s and 10. Oh, straightens up a little bit too much. Takes the ballot poles with him. Just in front of him, that is the silverback driver, hard on the brakes. Chasing down Bruno. This pole definitely is stuck in his wing there. I'm sure he would have picked up some damage. We'll see where this pole goes flying. There it goes, just touching the wheel and it's just being flung out. Not getting involved with anybody else. Cross the line, lap number 3. The green and black Mamba drivers once again fighting for position. Dylan starting to put pressure on Andrew. Andrew running himself wide, coming through the old hairpin. Dylan going around the outside. But Andrew leaving him enough space. So in shot is Jacques, Ross, then Duppy just behind his cattle, starting to make some way. Oh, Ross running very wide out of turn at number 10. You can see how he just kicked up that dust coming out of the corner, went a little bit too wide off the curb and just grabbed that dirt and threw it up into the air. That would definitely have slowed him down. But with Jacques having put himself up in those poles, I'm sure he's nursing some damage at the moment. Back to the race leaders, and Scholl starting to put a major pressure on the back of Jakes. Let's just jump on board with Scholl to see what's actually happening on this track. Jakes a little bit wide coming out of McLean's. That's allowed Scholl to just close that gap ever so slightly. Blind corner here at Coppers with Jakes, a little bit of oversteer. That would have scrapped some of his speed. Quick look in the mirrors, and no one close enough to be seen. Scholl really using those gears to help slow the car down. Down to first gear, back on that power. Scholl really getting up the rear of Jakes. Sure, Jakes is not feeling comfortable. Whoa, that was very close. Out of turn and number 12. Across the start finish line. Jakes definitely holding his own here at the moment. Really fighting hard. We'll come back and see what happens a little bit later. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th place. The two TTR drivers ahead of the Project Cat Racing. Well, Jacques gone wide, down through the old hairpin. That's definitely going to scrap some speed. You can see his teammate looking to go around the outside, but backs off. No, he decides to take the gap, and he moves ahead into 5th place, going through McLean's, up into Coppice. So we have Duppy, Jacques, Ross, Cadot, Dylan, Andrew, Marius. Oh, Ross going sideways, exiting out of turn 9 through the S's. It seems these three drivers in shot are currently matching each other's pace. See Duppy 132.8, Jacques 132.6 and Ross 134.4. We'll just see across the line, so a 0.6 of a second between Duppy and Ross for that lap. Race leader Jakes still has Scholl chasing hard. The gap to the 3rd place driver Bruno, that has closed down substantially. Bruno's already putting in the laps now. We'll take a look at the current standings. Jakes leads with Scholl in 2nd. Bruno, you can see circulating at nearly half a second faster than the 2 guys in front of him. Duppy, he's in 4th place with Jacques in 5th, Ross is 6th. Cadot into 7th place with Dylan 8th, Andrew 9th, Morris in 10th and Dane 11. Is this the move for Scholl to take the lead here into turn number 11? Jakes has to run wide, but that allows Bruno to go through as well. But they are side by side coming into turn number 12. Jakes is on the inside, Bruno on the outside. Oh, that was extremely close. I did think that there might be contact. So in the matter of 2 corners, Jakes goes from leading this race down to 3rd place. Recap on the positions. So Scholl, a new race leader, he leads ahead of Bruno with Jakes 3rd, Duppy, then Ross, Cadot, Dylan, Andrew, Marius, Jacques and then Dane. Dylan starting to close the gap on Gerard. These guys are currently fighting for a 7th and 8th position. Dylan was closing the gap, but he seems to have started losing some pace here, not being able to close down Cadot. Just have a little swing around just to see. There's Andrew coming through the S's now. He's a little bit too far back. Bruno looking for an opportunity to get around Scholl. Well, Scholl goes very deep. Bruno cuts on the inside. What a fantastic overtaking maneuver there by Bruno. But now he's got Scholl side by side as they cross the line together. Into a red gate, Bruno goes wide, Scholl holds that inside line. All side by side, little touch between the two of them. The Jakes will now go past. The Jakes will now regain the lead with Scholl in second place and Bruno down into third. So just a quick replay of what had happened. You see coming into turn number 1, Bruno is holding that outside line. It looks like Scholl just starts understeering ever so slightly and just manages to get his front wheel on the side, which sends both of them off. Morris is starting to make his way up through the field after having taken his drive-through penalty. Here he's harassing the rear of Andrew. Coming up the hill into a coppice, a little move to the inside. A great overtaking maneuver there by Morris, carried a lot more speed than Andrew. Then down towards the S's, Morris will lead this battle, having moved one place closer. Race leader Jakes goes through the old hairpin. Let's have a look at the current positions. The Jakes leads with Scholl second. Scholl starting to close that gap once again. Bruno in third place with Duppy in fourth. Ross is fifth with Carrot in sixth. Dylan down in seventh place with Morris in eighth, starting to close that gap on Dylan. Andrew is in ninth place with Jacques in 10th and Dane in 11th position. So Morris has been circulating as one of the fastest on the track so far. Really starting to close that gap on Dylan just ahead of him. Morris is going 2 seconds quicker than Dylan. So through Coppice, Morris goes. Just in front of him, he has Dylan in his sights. Well, Morris taking over 2 poles with him. Down into the hairpin at turn number 11. Looks like Morris had a slow down there. He seemed very, very slow through or out of the exit of turn number 11. So race leader Jakes goes past with Scholl in second and Bruno. He's now starting to close the gap. We have one more lap after this one. So remembering that Bruno was fighting for the lead. Coming through a red gate, unfortunately a little bit of contact with Scholl understeering slightly and just going into the side of Bruno, taking the two of them off, but here they are now starting to chase Jakes down. And across the line to begin the final lap. Down the hill through a Craner. Now through the old hairpin. Well, Scholl's a little bit wide there. That might just have hampered his speed. But see, Bruno wasn't quite as close as I thought he was. So just a couple of corners left to go. Will Jakes be able to hang on to this lead and take a win here? Down a Starkey straight. Only 4 more corners to go. Oh, a little bit of oversteer there for Scholl. But Bruno makes an extremely late braking maneuver. Will he try the cutback? They are now almost side by side. Bruno goes to the outside. Scholl goes very defensive. Bruno taking a faster outside line. Oh, a little bit of a contact, a little bump there. Unfortunately, sending Bruno off. Oh, Bruno comes back on the track, a little contact, and across the line. The Jakes will win with Bruno in second. Duppy, he will come home in a 4th place with a Ross. He finishes in 5th. There's a Carrot. He's across the line in a 6th with a Dylan in 7th. Marius 8th. Andrew in 9th place with a Jacques in 10th. And finally in 11th place is Dane. So thank you very much guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that notification button. That will allow you to be notified of any new videos posted or any live streams that have gone up. Stay tuned, we will be heading to the Circuit of the Americas for the final round of this championship. Until then, enjoy your racing, and thanks for watching, yos.